Hello friends, welcome once again to ASOM Novel Online Maths. In this video, we shall start from the scratch to discuss the concept of calculus. Make sure you follow my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss anything that will come from this calculus, because I promise you that on daily basis for straight 2 weeks, I'll be uploading videos on this calculus. Remember that if you want to get most of my videos, if you want to appreciate learning, go and download and subscribe to the ULesson app so that you enjoy my videos, because this lesson is proudly powered by ULesson app. Now, in this life, nothing remains the same. Things continue changing. The only constant thing is change. So apart from change, every other thing changes. All right. Today the cost of foods, commodities keeps on rising. Your temperature can rise and fall. So many things in life can change. Now, to actually understand this change, that leads us to the wonderful topic known as calculus. In calculus, we get to understand what change is. And under this calculus, we are going to learn what we call the limit. We learn what we call the differentiation, and also the integration. So these are the content of the concept calculus. All right. So, but we are not going to delve into the three of them once. We shall take it part by part. But I'm going to start with the concept of limit and introduction to limit, so that in the next video I will upload, we shall actually solve problems in limit. Now, when you talk about the word limit, what comes to your mind when the word limit is mentioned? Now, to a layman, limit is like a fence. You might be wondering what I meant by a fence. A limit is just a fence. Let's say this is a fence. It is a value you try to approach this value, but you can never get to that value. So a limit is a value that we keep on getting closer and closer and closer and closer to, but we cannot attain it. That's a limit. All right. Now, you understand this more when you take a look at this particular function. Look at this function. The limit of x tending to 1, when you have something like x minus 1 all over x minus 1. Every other person will tell us that this function is equal to 1. This is the same thing as the limit of x tend of just 1. You know, if you divide x minus 1 by x minus 1, you get 1. But this limit is not the same thing as 1. It will be the same thing as 1 only if x is not equal to 1. Because if x becomes equal to 1 here, you will get 1 minus 1 over 1 minus 1, which will give us 0 over 0, and this becomes undefined. So as you're getting closer and closer to any value, once it is close to 1, you are getting 0. Therefore, it becomes undefined. So when you talk about a limit is just a value that you keep on getting closer and closer and closer to, but you can never attain it. Now, if you want to graph this function, for instance, now, let's say we want to graph the function f of x is equal to x minus 1 over x minus 1. This function is the same thing as 1. This function is something as 1 because the same thing divided the same thing will give us 1. So it is only equal to 1 if x is not equal to 1, because this divide this is 1. But if the value of x is equal to 1, it will not work because it will give an undefined function. So if you are to graph this, let's say this is a graph where you have the y-axis or f of x, and this is x-axis. You have positive 1, negative 1, negative 1, and 1, for instance. Now, since this graph is equal to 1, this function is equal to 1. That is what it is. So you can just draw a straight line that will pass through 1. You know, f of x is equal to 1. We have here f of x is equal to 1. Remember that f of x is just like writing y is equal to 1. And where is y is equal to 1? It is at this point. So you have to draw a straight line that will pass through this point where y is equal to 1. I want to graph it. But remember that if x is equal to 1, this function cannot hold. It becomes an undefined fraction. So look at the point where x is equal to 1. So at this point, you can just make a hole to show that when x is 1, the function becomes undefined. So this function keeps on approaching this value. But once it gets to this value where x is equal to 1, the function will not hold. So it cannot get to this point, and that's the limit. So when you talk about limit is a value that you keep on getting closer and closer and closer to, but you cannot achieve that. For example, if you are from this side, you are getting closer and closer, but you cannot reach this point. If you're coming from this side, you cannot reach this point where I have made a circle here. So that's the limit. When you talk about limit is just a value that you can never achieve. You keep on trying to get closer and closer to it, but cannot get to it. So in our next lesson, we shall make videos on treating or finding limit of a given functions. And remember, in this limit, you have a lot of things there. We have L'Hopital's rules and a lot of them. So we are going to discuss them in details before we get into differentiation and integration as well. All right. Thank you for viewing, and may God bless you. Do not forget that this video is proudly powered by YouLesson app. Bye bye.